Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. All right. Well, things are getting really bad for Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. And there's another group of people that are about to face, well, some big problems. There are some fake conservative influencers who got on the wrong train, right? And one of those is Dave Rubin, who was on the DeSantis train. And there was a happening today with Dave Rubin. So I want to go through this. Dave Rubin, oh boy, he's in really deep because the campaign for DeSantis is all but over. DeSantis is disgraced. And Dave Rubin has been out there on the DeSantis train during this whole campaign season. And today, Dave Rubin did something that's the beginning of the end for him. Now, this
I see he's trying to explain himself now.
Mm-hmm. This was sparked by President Trump. President Trump last night did the town hall on Fox News with Bret Baier and Martha McCallum opposite that pathetic debate between Haley and DeSantis. And President Trump was talking about Ron DeSantis and Dr. Fauci. Let me play this clip. This is President Trump last night at the Fox News town hall.
And of course, Ron DeSantis would definitely argue with your characterization of how he handled it.
But if you go back and look at the records, you will see that the biggest fan of Dr. Fauci was Ron DeSanctimonious. He was a big fan. He said, I go by, exactly quote, I go by what Dr. Fauci said. He said that 2 months in, all the way through, and then eventually changed when it wasn't, that wasn't the dessert of the day. But Ron DeSantis was a big Dr. Fauci fan, and nobody wants to cover that. I say it every time.
Okay. So that's what President Trump said last night in the town hall. And Dave Rubin on Twitter today just lost it and used some really bad language. And let me pull this up and go over this with you. Now, I saw this on Mediaite, and then they did a story on Dave Rubin's Twitter. And Dave Rubin, he tweeted the video of Trump saying that clip I just played for you on Twitter. And then Dave Rubin wrote this. This is some seriously dishonest, and then he said BS, the full word. And the fact that this official Trump account, it's on MAGA War Room, right, which is, official Trump account. And the fact that this official Trump account, MAGA War Room, shared it is basically straight up evil. And no, that's not being mean to Trump. That's Trump telling his supporters he thinks they are a bunch of morons and can feed them anything. Okay, so I pulled up one clip. There's other examples of this, and I'm sure the other examples are going to be all over the media all day and through tomorrow. But I'm only going to play one because, it only takes one. I don't have to play 12. This is a clip of Ron DeSantis praising Fauci and Birx and Pence too, by the way, but all the three favorite people of MAGA, right? Listen to this. This is Ron DeSantis doing exactly what President Trump said he did on that Fox News town hall last night.
And you have a lot of people there who are working very, very hard, and they're not getting a lot of sleep, and they're really focusing on a big country that we have. And from Dr. Birx to Dr. Fauci to the vice president, who's worked very hard, the Surgeon General, they're really doing a good job.
Okay, so he just said
who he doesn't praise.
Yeah, Trump. He doesn't praise Trump, and that was even back then, which should have been a tip-off to us. So there you have Ron DeSantis praising Fauci. And, the thing about Florida and COVID, Florida was locked down by Ron DeSantis. Not only were our beaches locked down, which was insanely stupid. The beaches were locked down. DeSantis went on TV telling spring breakers that if they came to Florida and they would be arrested. Remember that? And he shut down restaurants and other businesses, Ron DeSantis, and even said that the model that he was using was the model of Governor Newsom in California, which was the Fauci model. So this is, there's a lot of revisionist memory with Ron DeSantis. Now, Florida did open up sooner. Now, Dave Rubin,
who is making this such an issue for this campaign? Who cares?
Dave Rubin just did today. They asked.
Well, it's an act to me. It's an act of desperation by DeSantis because he's going to lose. They're both going to lose, obviously, and they're talking about an issue that's 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old. That's been dealt with. It's done. It's over. It's not happening now. It's to me, it's totally pointless to discuss this. You can't change the past. Yeah. I'm not saying it's pointless for us to discuss it, but for them to make an issue in the campaign to me is stupid. And I don't get it.
What happened was this was a moment in that town hall last night on Fox that wasn't even really talked about or thought about, and Dave Rubin made a big deal about it by calling Trump supporters morons, calling Trump a liar.
He's clarified that, Dave Rubin.
Let me read this.
He said that what he meant was that Trump thinks we're morons.
Yeah, let me read this.
He didn't say that. Because now he's really freaked out.
Dave Rubin's at a panic, and he's trying to
But who asked Trump about the whole COVID thing? Was it Martha or
Martha
McCallum?
They brought it up. It was in the Martha McCallum and Brett Baer. So Dave Rubin, a few minutes ago, did a new tweet to try to cover his butt. And it's what you said. Here's what Dave Rubin wrote a few minutes ago. For the record, I didn't call Trump supporters a bunch of morons. I said he thinks his supporters are a bunch of morons. And then he blames Mediaite, which is Mediaite's left wing. Mediaite almost got something right, which is pretty good for an online rag.
To me, Martha bringing that up is to help DeSantis or Nikki Haley.
She hates Trump.
It's not. It's such a pointless topic to talk about in a town hall.
It's not. It's the thumbnail of the episode. It's not totally pointless.
I think
Kathy.
it's okay for us to talk about. But what I'm saying is, when you're in a town hall and you're discussing, you're talking to somebody running for president, and the elections start, the primaries start next week. Why do you care about? Why would the audience care about a topic that is not relevant now? It happened in the past. It's over. It's done with. Everybody has their own opinion on it. I just think that her bringing that up, I think it's okay for us to discuss how stupid it was. Her bringing that up to me was obviously something that DeSantis campaign, that's a big thing with DeSantis, wanted her to ask him to try to make him look bad. But I don't think it's going to have any effect on Trump or anybody.
Because DeSantis has been running around this entire pathetic campaign of his praising how Florida was open during COVID, which is not true. He's been lying.
We were closed for a while. In fact, Disney was closed for like 6 months.
We opened up sooner, but we were closed down, and he's been running around lying about that.
Yeah, I remember driving around here. The parks were closed. The beaches were closed.
Yeah.
All the outdoor places.
Restaurants, bars,
a lot of, you had to order food to pick it up or deliver. You could not go sit in a restaurant.
It's like the rest of the country.
And that was for like 6 months.
Yeah. So, no, I think it is relevant because DeSantis has been lying. Now, Dave Rubin, see, there's a lot of these. I don't trust Dave Rubin, okay? I don't trust Dave Rubin. He used to be with the Young Turks, okay? And all that stuff. And I know all this red pill stuff, whatever. He was on the DeSantis train really early on. I remember the first time I noticed him talking about it, he talked about how he was smoking cigars with the governor at the governor's mansion. He was very impressed with himself with that, Dave Rubin. And what's happened now is since DeSantis is done, people like Dave Rubin that got off the Trump train and started backing Ron DeSantis are in a panic because where are they going to go? You look at what Glenn Beck destroyed his career by being anti-Trump in the first campaign, and he's gotten back a little bit, but he's never fully recovered from the damage he did to himself. And now somebody like Dave Rubin is seeing that, oh my goodness, I've done irreversible damage to my listener base, my followers, my watchers, whatever he calls it. And
his
he's
listeners will now are now going to be Democrats, and they're going to be people that hate Trump. He's just going to have to make that shift.
I think he's in a transition onto what he's going to do to survive as a so-called influencer. These people that call themselves
maybe the Young Turks will take him back.
Yeah. With people like Dave Rubin, and there's going to be some others, I always tell you guys, never trust a never Trumper. Never trust a never Trumper. And these never Trumpers now, they're like rats on a sinking ship, okay? They've been with DeSantis, maybe they've been with Nikki Haley, and they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And there's going to be a lot of crazy things that happen, right, as these candidates drop out, like you're seeing with Dave Rubin. This is the beginning of something. And Dave Rubin, if he were to go on and say, I made a mistake, and ask for the forgiveness of his followers, of the viewers, he might be able to do some damage control. But I think what he's going to do is do more damage to himself, which is fine. I have no interest in Dave Rubin, but these people that were on the DeSantis train, see what happens a lot of times with these people. They get access, like Dave Rubin smoking cigars at the governor's mansion. Kathy's, you've been a Floridian your whole life.
Yep.
I've lived in Florida almost my entire life since I was a little kid. I've never been to the governor's mansion. And
I've seen the governor's mansion. Yeah. It's really close to FSU. I drove by it many
I've never
times.
Even been to Tallahassee, but here's Dave Rubin smoking cigars up there. So he was very impressed with the access he had, and people like that start to fantasize. Well, if he becomes president, I'll be smoking cigars in the White House.
You have to understand these people. A lot of these people that are political commentators, politicians are like Tom Cruise to them. It's like hanging out with Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Harrison Ford. These are their celebrities that they admire and love and fawn over, that they get excited about. So being around him, like you said, he's known for a while that DeSantis isn't going to win. And I think it's interesting. DeSantis last night said that Trump should be here on this stage. He owes it to you in Iowa to explain blah, blah, blah. Well, DeSantis should be in Florida. He has been in Iowa for a year. He has not been here. He hasn't done his job. The state was doing great, and now things are falling apart in a lot of places, and he has not been home. He is not doing anything for Floridians for the last 12 months. So he has a lot of nerve saying that Trump should be on a stage to explain things when he has been MIA campaigning and has basically moved out and has become an Iowan resident.
Yeah, that's right. Now, I want to play this clip of Whoopi Goldberg on The View yesterday. The View, like Dave Rubin, the View, they're starting to have complete meltdowns because they see that Donald Trump isn't just going to win the Republican nomination, he's going to win the presidency, and they're in a panic. Remember, Whoopi Goldberg can't even say President Trump's name. She calls him the other guy. He's like Voldemort from Harry Potter. This is Whoopi Goldberg, and you know what's scary about this with Whoopi Goldberg? Whoopi Goldberg, in this bizarre comment, is not lying. She's a mental patient. She actually, she has Trump derangement syndrome so bad. She thinks that what she says here is the truth. As crazy as it sounds. Listen, Whoopi Goldberg on The View.
It's ours to lose. It is this country. This is what it's all about. Either you want it to work forward thinking, you want everybody to have the ability to say how they feel, what they want to move forward, or you don't. Or you want somebody who says, I'm going to be on day one, I'm going to be a dictator. Who says it to you, tells you, I'm going to put you people away. I'm going to take all the journalists, I'm going to take all the gay folks, I'm going to move you all around and disappear you. If that's the country you want, you know who to vote for. If that's not the country you want, you have to make a decision.
Okay, so she said that Trump is saying that he is going to take all the journalists and all the gays and put them in camps. What exactly does that mean, Whoopi Goldberg? She's out of her mind.
She believes that.
And I know it's hard to understand this.
Remember, she thought John McCain was going to put her in chains.
Yeah, she does believe that. And what you're hearing with Dave Rubin, Whoopi Goldberg, and it's going to become more and more common, what you're hearing is complete panic from the Trump derangement sufferers because he's coming back in 2024. This is better than the polls.
I just saw on Twitter somebody approached Christie about running as a third party. I don't think any of these third-party things would hurt Trump, but do you think that some of these people that were running against Trump could enter the race as third-party candidates? I could see Christie doing that. I don't think he'd make a dent. But how many can do that? How many people can Nikki Haley do it? Okay,
they've got to pay money.
So say 4 or 5 of them get the backing. Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis. Can they run as Republicans or they have to run as independents?
They have to run as independents.
Okay, so say you got 3 or 4 people that are now Republican that switch to independent and run in a third-party ticket. Vivek, Christie, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis. Say collectively they do that to try to collectively hurt him. Can you see that happening? Do you think it would be a problem?
The people that are running DeSantis and Nikki Haley's campaigns are the Bush people, right?
But they're going to do anything. They'll throw money at anything to make it to try to destroy it.
And the Bush people know that the third party candidate Ross Perot caused George H.W. Bush re-election.
That's right. They know it
Bill
personally.
Bill Clinton did not win because he was so popular. He won because Ross Perot split the Republican vote. So he got 40. I don't want to say the exact number. They popped in my head because I'll probably be wrong. It's been a long time, since 1993. But he won 40-something% of the vote, Bill Clinton, because of Ross Perot. So they may see that in their mind and say, we can do it to Trump too. Trump is a lot more popular than George H.W. Bush was. It's not. It wouldn't work. But they're so desperate that they're always going to be trying other schemes. They're going to be running schemes against Trump on the day that he's inaugurated, and then they're going to continue his whole second term. It's never going to stop.
They'll impeach him again. It'll never.
They may
stop.
If the Democrats were in charge, they would impeach him on the day he was inaugurated if they were in charge. They're never going to leave him alone.
They think a lot of them are like Whoopi Goldberg. They really live in fear of him. But a lot of them they think they know better, like Joy Behar. They don't want the people to decide. I mean, this to me is ridiculous that they are not letting the people choose. And that's what is the way it should be. And it proves to you that they appoint people in these positions. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. They're supposed to let the people decide.
Well, they hate the people. The uniparty establishment probably hate us.
Well, yeah, we just get in the way, and we're just, like in that movie with Charlie Chaplin, we're just cogs in the machine. Where he goes through the machine in the cogs. What's the name of that movie? You really like that movie? I
don't know which one you're talking about.
The one where he's the worker.
Oh,
and he goes through the cogs.
Modern Times.
It's a great movie. And his whole thing is that people are just cogs in the machine. And that's kind of how it is today. You have the deep state and you have the elites that they run everything. And we're just here to supply them with money and vote for them and get them and keep them in power. And that's it. The people don't run this country anymore. I don't even know if we ever did. Maybe in the beginning, maybe there was a time. But Donald Trump is the one guy who actually got through that machine and busted through that ceiling and totally freaked them out and had them in a panic.
Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
The new sci-fi novel from author Tony Travis is now available on Amazon. Keyholes. Keyholes is a journey of discovery. Meet Dr. Alan Messman and his brother Colonel Bryce Messman as they uncover a groundbreaking revelation, a mysterious portal influenced by quantum effects on photons. Join their team on a quest to unravel the secrets hidden behind the keyhole. What lies beyond? A passage to the past, an alternate world, or something beyond our wildest imaginations? Find out when you read Keyholes from author Tony Travis. Follow their journey as it challenges the very nature of reality, intertwining cosmic mysteries with a deep exploration of identity and existence. Every page is a gateway to another layer of mystery, leading to a climax that will leave you questioning the very fabric of our universe. Order your copy of Keyholes from author Tony Travis on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Keyholes from author Tony Travis on Amazon. Planning a trip or vacation in the new year? Make sure your journey starts at Border to Border Travel. At Border to Border Travel, you'll discover the power of efficient packing with their compression packing cubes and underseat luggage. Border to Border Travel will have you traveling in style while optimizing space like you've never done before. Their compact cubes ingeniously compress your essentials, while their underseat luggage is designed for seamless, stress-free journeys. It's perfect for weekend getaways or business trips. With Border to Border Travel, you'll experience the convenience of organized, hassle-free travel. You get the perfect synergy of smart design and durability. Travel smarter, travel lighter, and travel with unmatched ease. Embrace your next adventure with Border to Border Travel, where innovation meets wanderlust. Online at bordertobordertravel.com. That's the number 2, bordertobordertravel.com. Your journey starts today. bordertobordertravel.com. Are you a business owner, a member of a management team, or want to take your career to leadership levels? Then you will want to add the new book from author Stefan Reckert to your must-read list, Management Meets Nietzsche, a leadership philosophy, available on Amazon. Management Meets Nietzsche is a journey through Nietzsche's philosophies, reimagined for today's disruptive leadership landscape. In 1884, Nietzsche challenged the value system, and today, this book explores what it takes to be a transformative leader in our modern world. When you read Management Meets Nietzsche, you'll discover how leadership requirements have evolved over 140 years. It blends scientific studies, personal anecdotes, and management literature. It also offers actionable insights for aspiring leaders just like you of any background. The author translates Nietzsche's teachings to modern management, challenging traditional concepts and introducing a fresh perspective on great leadership. Filled with a combination of old virtues, disruptive approaches, and a peek into the future of work, this book will prepare you to embrace innovation. It's also filled with entertaining and eye-opening examples from the author's career. This is a vital resource for anyone who wants to master disruptive thinking and leadership. It's engaging, philosophical, and practical, and perfect for business owners, managers, and anyone who aspires to lead. Management Meets Nietzsche, a leadership philosophy from author Stefan Reckert, available on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Order your copy right now and embrace the journey of leadership like never before. Management Meets Nietzsche, a leadership philosophy on Amazon. Have you ever wondered who holds the world record for giving birth to the most children, or the size of the largest star in the universe? What would happen if the planet Earth fell into a black hole? From author Jesse Sloan comes the book Fat Monkey's 3,000 Mind-Blowing Factoids, Things You Didn't Know You Needed to Know, available on Amazon. Inside, you'll discover the answers to those questions and thousands more quirky and awe-inspiring facts. From the mysteries of history and science to the marvels of the natural world. Organized into 6 engaging categories, Fat Monkey's 3,000 Mind-Blowing Factoids is your ultimate compendium for trivia nights or simply wowing your friends with random tidbits. Are you ready for a wild intellectual journey? Expand your horizons and astonish your peers. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Fat Monkey's 3,000 Mind-Blowing Factoids, Things You Didn't Know You Needed to Know, from author Jesse Sloan. It's not just a conversation starter, but a journey into the extraordinary. Order your copy right now on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay. There's a video that's circulating on Twitter, X, today, and it's not a montage. It's a cut frame video with Ron DeSantis and Adam Kinzinger. Okay, and it's DeSantis from this CNN debate last night with Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis sounds like he's crying in this. Listen to this.
I remember Hillary.
Okay, now hold on. Now, first you hear Ron DeSantis, and then it cuts to Adam Kinzinger, okay?
I remember Hillary denigrating people on the Republican side as deplorables. We don't need a candidate who's going to look down on middle America. We've had enough of that.
Democracies are not defined by our bad days. We're defined by how we come back from bad days.
Yeah, he does sound like he was crying.
His voice is cracking a little bit.
He does sound like he was crying.
This thing with Whoopi Goldberg is going viral.
Yeah, because I was just talking about it.
People are saying, you have to be nuts to watch that show. She said that Trump's going to kill all the journalists and gay people, basically have them disappeared. That is so irresponsible. I'm surprised she didn't throw black people into that mix. I'm really shocked she left them.
That'll be tomorrow's show.
I mean, I remember they tried this whole thing last year of trying to push that Florida was not safe for gays.
Yes.
Fort Lauderdale is a gay mecca. Okay. It probably has more gay people than San Francisco now. I'm not joking.
You mean per capita? Per capita. Well, we're bigger than San Francisco. Per capita, probably.
I think they all left San Francisco.
It depends on what part of Florida.
And they all came here.
Yeah.
And Orlando. There's a lot of cities,
Fort Lauderdale, Miami.
especially. No, in Miami, there's a huge gate. Nobody's throwing these people out. Nobody's doing anything to them. It's ridiculous. They're walking free, and nobody's bothering them.
Not according to Whoopi.
Nobody cares. Nobody's rounding them up. Nobody did it when he was president. See, here's the problem with all these crazy lies they're saying that they really have lost their mind over. Trump was president, and none of that stuff happened. So everybody knows that this is all bullshit. They're like, well, this isn't going to happen. He didn't do it before. This is crazy talk. This is desperation at its highest level. When you hear people saying things like Whoopi Goldberg, she really believes it, which is sad. Most people are aware,
absolutely,
can think and understand that that's completely ridiculous. But
a lot of people say
her saying that and the audience applauding, which is a bunch of old liberal white biddies.
Well, the applause sign may have come on. They have a sign that says applause and laugh and stuff. They might have maybe the sign came on.
She really believes that he is going to go after journalists. Now I know sometimes he'll say things jokingly. He's never said that. When he said like, "Well, I'm going to be a dictator on day one," and that's it.
That's called sarcasm.
Exactly. He was joking. He was just meaning that on the first day, he's going to undo a lot of things, and that's it. It was just a joke. They don't get his humor. They take everything that he says as dangerous thing, whatever. But her saying this, she is, if you see her doing it, if you can see the video, she is in a complete panic over, they're admitting that he's going to win.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't act like this if they didn't think he could win.
Yeah.
They would not. They're really worried.
Now, Jill Biden was interviewed by Mika Brzezinski on MSNBC today, and I have not really heard Jill Biden talk too much. She's not very classy. She doesn't sound very classy.
Well, she does wear fishnet stockings.
She's not very first lady-like. But anyway, this is Jill Biden, Dr. Jill, always trying to pass herself off as a medical doctor. Jill Biden interviewed by Mika Brzezinski, and she talks about the harassment that Hunter has to go through. Listen.
How have you been coping personally with the onslaught of accusations against your husband and your family, including and especially Hunter? It's the focus of a House Oversight Committee hearing, holding him in contempt, obsessing over him, showing pictures of him during vulnerable moments in his battle with addiction on the floor of the House. This would crush any family.
Mika, I think what they are doing to Hunter is cruel. And I'm really proud of how Hunter has rebuilt his life after addiction. I love my son, and it's hurt my grandchildren, and that's what I'm so concerned about, that it's affecting their lives as well.
Okay, so Jill Biden believes, and all that's going on, that Hunter Biden is the victim. I thought the victim are these women that are forced into sex slavery, these Russian, Ukrainian hookers that he hires.
Well, I find it interesting.
And fills up with drugs
exactly.
and has the Russian pimps come over and all this stuff. I thought they were – and Jill Biden's blaming Marjorie Taylor Greene is who she's talking about in particular. She doesn't say the name. Jill Biden's blaming Marjorie Taylor Greene and others for the problems her grandchildren are going through. The problems her grandchildren are going through are because of her junkie son.
Well, and I think it's interesting she's so concerned about her grandchildren when she denied the existence of her granddaughter, Navy, for the first 6-7 years of her life. And now all of a sudden they've decided that they're going to acknowledge that that's their granddaughter. I mean, these are sick people.
Oh, yeah.
But Mika's not going to say that. I would have said to her, what about Navy?
Yeah,
you concerned about her? Because you wouldn't even acknowledge she was your grandchild
and
until, a month ago?
And look, because of Hunter's crooked business dealings, all of a sudden there's a war going on in Ukraine with Russia. Because of her husband's corruption, because of Hunter's corruption, how many people have had their lives destroyed or even lives ended in Ukraine because of this war that was begun so that her family could enrich themselves? But Hunter's the victim?
People will rationalize anything, especially people that are doing something crooked or criminal or that's disgraceful. They will rationalize it somehow in their mind. Okay, this just was tweeted, this Iowa interactive polls, which is very good. They do updated polls all the time.
Yeah.
And they have a new Iowa poll. So I just
they
go over that.
If you notice, they give us all these polls that
Cat Turd just tweeted
that have Nikki Haley all close to Trump and everything, which you know are total BS. The latest poll out of Iowa has Trump in first place at 55. And Haley and DeSantis tied in second place at 14. So Trump has a 41-point lead in Iowa right now.
So even if one of them dropped out, DeSantis or Haley, say, and then say DeSantis dropped out, which neither one is going to drop out, but, one of them should, it still wouldn't make a difference. Then the other person might jump to 20 at the most.
Yeah.
I don't think they would jump to 28. But even if they did, they still would lose. I cannot wait for this. Now, when is after Iowa?
The end of the month. Iowa is on
next
Monday.
And
then at the end of the month is New Hampshire.
Okay, this is going to be exciting because I really feel Monday it's going to be a bloodbath. And I think Trump is going to win more than 55%. I think it's going to be closer to 70%. And Nikki and Ron are going to have to drop out quickly. She's going to try to hang until South Carolina. But I don't know how these guys keep going. I thought Ron DeSantis was running out of money. I mean, who is giving these people money? On that hot mic, Christie said she has spent like $68 million. What a waste of money.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many people you can help with $68 million?
Yeah.
And DeSantis, I'm sure, has spent more. Such a waste of money. And how long do you think they're going to stay in this? I mean, who's funding this?
Well, DeSantis probably will be out before New Hampshire.
You think so?
And Nikki Haley's hanging in there because she was the governor of South Carolina. She thinks she has a chance to come in a close second in South Carolina.
How do you think DeSantis will do Monday? They say 14%. I think it's going to be closer to 8%.
There's no way to know.
What's your prediction?
Because the way this Iowa caucus thing goes, you have to show up in person.
Right.
Okay? You have to show up in person like at 8 o'clock at night. So it's whoever shows up. So
what do you mean, why at 8 o'clock at night?
Because that's when they do the caucus. They caucus at the same time throughout the state. You get there at 6, you wait in line, you get in, you check in. It's a process, and then each candidate can have a representative make a pitch for like 90 seconds or 3 minutes or something. You have to physically be there in person to cast your vote in person.
But you can't vote till 8?
Correct. You can't vote until the night.
Gracious.
So if DeSantis and Nikki Haley have any machines left, they're going to be driving people to the caucus locations to do this. So it all depends on how many people Trump's going to win.
Yeah.
But what usually happens, and you can't predict how these things are going to come out exactly, but usually I'm not saying it's going to happen in Iowa next week, but in the past, when the caucus happens in Iowa and then the New Hampshire primary, the people that are polling, first, second, and third come in first, second, and third typically, not always, but typically. But they're closer than the polls say most of the time. The end results are closer than the polls say.
Oh, they are?
Usually. I'm not saying that's going to happen next week. I mean, Trump could get 98% of the Iowa caucus. I don't know. There's no way to tell. But it always usually comes in a little closer than the polls predict. So that when that happens, they'll say, "Oh, look, Nikki Haley and DeSantis have momentum now."
It seems like the people that were voting for Christie and Pence and Vivek have shifted to Haley and DeSantis because DeSantis has gone up a little bit. He was polling at 7-8%. So those people have shifted to them and not to Trump. But Trump still has such a – that's what I'm saying. If one of them dropped out, which will not happen, do you think that would help?
No.
I'm sure each camp is trying to convince the other to do it.
So like in this new poll, Trump's 41 points ahead of Haley and DeSantis, right? So if the Iowa caucus comes in, Trump's going to win. But say he wins by 30 points, right, which is huge. They'll say, "Oh, look, Haley and DeSantis, they gained 11 points. Right. They got momentum." It's nonsense, but that's how they'll present it.
Okay, so New Hampshire's at the end of January,
and then we've got South Carolina after that. So and usually after South Carolina, it's over. It's pretty much done.
I know Jeb Bush hung in there through Florida. I think he thought he was going to win
Florida.
Florida
Those not till August. The Florida primary is in August. It's going to be long decided before. I don't even know if there'll be a Florida primary.
But didn't he hang in there though till Florida? I think
don't
he
remember.
Hung in there for a while.
I think he dropped out right before. Right before, so he didn't have the humiliation of losing Florida. If I remember correctly.
Usually they drop out over humiliation or money, and I've been reading for so long that DeSantis is out of money, so I don't know how this is being funded.
Well, yeah,
maybe Dave Rubin is funding it. I mean,
doubt it.
This stuff takes money,
a lot of it,
more than people realize. Because you have a huge staff that you have to pay, plus transportation, security. You have to feed everybody. You have to put everybody in hotels.
Yeah.
It's a huge expense. I mean, and this has been going on for months and months and months. So they have to at least hang in there, at least for this, at least for this one state.
So
we'll see what happens after with him.
DeSantis dropped a video on Twitter today. Let me share this with you.
I need your help, and I need it now. This is the final stretch. Can you pitch in $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, whatever you can, so that we can do this push into Iowa and New Hampshire?
Okay.
Oh, well, there you go. He's begging for money.
So, I want you guys to think about this and put this in context on what's happened. Ron DeSantis is begging people to send him $5.
No, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25.
As little as $5. Now he's begging for $5. I mean, as little as $5, like a homeless person at the intersection on a road somewhere, right? When I went before the betrayal of President Trump, I went to that fundraiser that Ron DeSantis had here in South Florida when he was governor. Before he betrayed Trump, we didn't know any of that was going on.
Yeah.
It was $5. I got in for free, okay? I didn't have to pay because, important member of the media.
You're special.
Exactly. But everybody and the other people that I got in some people for free. So that my friends that came that I got in for free, they didn't. My friends didn't pay, but everybody else did, and it was minimum $500 a person. $500
and people
a
were
person.
glad to pay it back then.
And I got like 5 or 10 people in, and I was telling them, I was like, "This is $500 a pop." And
but this was when he was running for governor again.
When he ran for re-election as governor.
That's right, and people were happy to pay it.
So so he went from $500 minimum per person to $5. I mean, he's down and out. That's really bad.
I have a better way you can spend your $5. Become a patron of this show.
Yes.
That's a better way to spend your $5. $5 a month. You get commercial-free podcasts. I just put up a video yesterday. Brian puts up videos. We put up exclusive content. To me, that's your money. That's better spent. $5.
That's right.
Real Brian Craig Show or patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show.
Well, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of the episode. And I wasn't thinking about that when I brought up that story,
That's a much
Kathy,
better way to spend your money.
But I do agree with you on that. Become a Patreon supporter.
Who would give it to DeSantis? The guy's not going to win. I mean, that's just you're just wasting your money.
You would have to be out of your mind. Now, since we're speaking of our Patreon supporters, I want to thank our top Patreon supporters for their support. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, ActicFox, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Richard, Alice, K-Mac, and LeeZep, and finally, Shawna. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support. Again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Are you a freedom lover, a family person, a foodie, or just someone who enjoys a good story and a good time? Then add Coffee Table Chronicles to your podcast playlist. Hosted by husband and wife team Keith and Lindsay, they discuss the latest in politics, movies, history. No topic is off limits. They give their personal opinions on everything, and opposing opinions are welcome too. Coffee Table Chronicles is your go-to podcast for engaging, spirited discussions, the holidays, animals, survival tips, and the everyday joys and challenges of life. It's all there. This is a conversation and community you want to be a part of. Coffee Table Chronicles is on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Start listening right now. Coffee Table Chronicles with host Keith and Lindsay. Share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can listen too. Add Coffee Table Chronicles with Keith and Lindsay to your podcast playlist right now. From author Ludovic Aluma comes a book that will resonate with the power of choice and destiny. The Voice Game, available on Amazon. In The Voice Game, meet Brielle Kavanaugh, a young girl with a voice that could melt glaciers. She dreams of a life beyond her confined surroundings. Her passion for music is her escape, her solace in a world of chaos. The Voice Game is an emotional journey through love, loss, and the transformative power of music. Unexpected people and events enter Brielle's life. The Voice Game is perfect for young adults and women. It captures the essence of coming of age and the strength found in adversity. It's a story with strong female characters, thrilling suspense, and passionate romance. Author Ludovic Aluma has an expertise in finance, which adds a unique depth to his storytelling. His writing empowers and enlightens, making complex ideas accessible and engaging. The Voice Game from author Ludovic Aluma is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now and let Brielle's journey inspire you to find your own voice. The Voice Game from author Ludovic Aluma on Amazon. How would you like fresh, roasted, delicious coffee each and every morning? With Ironside Coffee Brewing Company, you'll experience coffee from the roaster to your cup in just 72 hours. Located in the heart of Salt Lake City, Utah, Ironside Coffee is your gateway to premium coffee. They pride themselves on delivering a blend that tantalizes your taste buds without breaking the bank. Their top-tier quality ensures that every cup of their crafted coffee elevates your experience. It's exceptional coffee without compromise. With Ironside Coffee, you'll explore coffee from around the world: Arabian, African, Central and South American, flavored beans, gourmet, and more. They even have decaf. At Ironside Coffee, they prioritize quality, sourcing beans only from reputable regions, ensuring high standards in roasting and packaging for a premium coffee experience. From single origin beans to unique blends, they cater to every taste, perfect for morning, after dinner, or any time in between. Subscribe to their subscription service and save 10%, plus free shipping on orders over $99. Visit them online at ironsightbc.com. Ironsight Coffee. Elevate your coffee experience. ironsightbc.com. Men, it's time to elevate your grooming routine with the premium men's soap and shower essentials at rhinozen.com, where indulgence meets wellness in every shower. Everything at rhinozen.com is crafted with care. Their products are chemical-free, ensuring a natural, invigorating cleanse that's truly good for you. You'll unleash the power of nature on your skin, leaving it refreshed and revitalized. Embrace the Rhinozen experience, because self-care should be as pure as you are. Upgrade to a healthier, more invigorating shower with rhinozen.com. That's rhinozen.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Well, I was very wrong about something on the morning show today, and it was about this Christie hot mic moment. Let me play the hot mic moment, and then I'll tell you what I was wrong about in regards to it and the big update. So this is, everybody has heard about this hot mic incident with Christie talking about Haley and DeSantis.
People don't want to hear it, Wayne. They don't want to hear it. We know we're right, but they don't want to hear it. Right. And there's, we couldn't have been any clearer. Right. We couldn't have been any more direct or worked any harder. So,
and let's not forget, she spent $68 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent
when you give land to China and places like that.
Yeah, that's what you get. Yeah. I mean, look, she spent $68 million so far, just on TV. Spent $68 million so far, $59 million by DeSantis, and we spent 12. I mean, who's punching above their weight and who's getting a return on their investment, And she's going to get smoked. And you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
She hasn't even been checked.
She's still 20 points behind Trump in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's still going to carry Iowa, right?
Yes, always. I talked to DeSantis called me. Petrified that I would.
He's probably getting out after Iowa.
Well,
okay. So,
He said he's going to get out after Iowa.
Yeah, so he said that DeSantis called him, he was petrified. And my thought was that that Christie was lying to these people, trying to impress them. That's what I said this morning. I was very wrong.
Yeah.
I thought Christie was made that up. Because why would Ron DeSantis call Christie and confide in him? It seemed very bizarre.
Well, now we know why.
And Ron DeSantis has actually confirmed it. Listen, this is Ron DeSantis on CNN about that phone call.
I did call him just because I felt he was being treated poorly with all these people saying, like, you should go. I said, you have every right to do this. And I think a lot of it is, and he and I have both kind of needled Nikki Haley on it. Chris is against Trump, right?
Okay, so he did.
What a lying jerk.
So he did call Chris Christie, and what Chris Christie said there, though, is I'm glad that the call is confirmed by Ron DeSantis. What Chris Christie said is a confirmation of a story that I had a few days ago. I told you, and I was the only one talking about this, that it leaked out of the Ron DeSantis campaign that after Iowa, he was going to drop out and endorse Trump. And I told you guys that DeSantis leaked that out because he wanted to get feedback from the public as to what would happen if he dropped out and endorsed Trump. So it doesn't mean he's going to endorse Trump. He was doing one of those trial balloons. But he did call Chris Christie, and he was having a meltdown. It's true. And
yeah, but that
he's
guy,
drop out.
the guy interrupted him.
Yes.
So we didn't know. We don't know exactly why he was petrified. He said he was petrified, and then the guy interrupted and said he's going to drop out after Iowa. So we didn't get to hear exactly what he was petrified about.
Probably that he has no political future. He's unelectable forever.
Could be a million things. I mean, you can speculate. It could be a million things. I think it was more petrified about money. It could have been about Nikki Haley. It could have been a lot of things.
So I think that Ron DeSantis is really having panic attacks about how he's going to support himself and his family when he's no longer governor.
I mean, what do you guys think he's petrified about? We really didn't get to find out. I think it's about money and his political future. And I think it could be a million things that he's upset about. I mean, petrified is a pretty big word. That's pretty scary.
The money that he spent, I think, is that Chris Christie said, I think it's far more than that because he had a lot of money in his governor's campaign left over after he got reelected, and he transferred it to his presidential campaign, DeSantis. So I think he blew a lot more than Chris Christie says.
I think it's about money because Chris Christie was talking about money in that conversation. He was saying how Nikki Haley spent 68, DeSantis spent X amount, and he's saying I only spent 12. So who's hitting above their weight class or whatever? So what he's saying
no one's at Chris Christie's weight class.
No, what he's saying is I spent $12 million, and the way I performed is pretty even keeled with what I spent. These people spent 70, 80 million, and they're still losing. So, you know what I mean? That's so. Then he went off into DeSantis called me petrified, and the guy cut him off. So it has to be about money.
Yeah. Now I want to play this clip. This was Nikki Haley. She was interviewed by Harris Faulkner on Fox, and Nikki Haley is sitting on the couch with her two kids. And Harris Faulkner is interviewing her, and Harris Faulkner asked her a question that she was very shocked at Nikki's answer. Listen.
What was your favorite meal at dinner to make for everybody? And did you guys pitch in?
They're laughing because I don't cook.
She didn't make anything.
If Michael didn't cook, we didn't eat.
What was your favorite?
Wow. Okay. So her children but her children would not eat unless her husband cooked food for them because she didn't prepare food, Nikki Haley.
She didn't make any cool Indian dishes.
That sounds like, abuse, child abuse. But we would not eat if my husband did not cook. My children would not have eaten if my husband did not cook.
Well, look, I don't like to cook, but when Emily was growing up, I cooked. I didn't like it, and she didn't like half the stuff.
We don't cook too much now.
And I'm a good cook, but Emily is. No, but she's pickier than you. Half the things I made, which I am a good cook, you guys would be like, meh. So after a while, I'm like, okay.
But that's not what Nikki Haley said.
I did cook and I did provide
Nikki Haley is saying
even though I hated doing it.
That if it were not for her husband, her two children would go without dinner at night.
I always made sure you and Emily had
because
dinner.
She doesn't cook. And it's probably because she's too good to cook. Or it could be that she was in the parking lot having sex with that guy she was having an affair with
that could be
when it was dinner time. Her husband was home cooking dinner for the kids.
She was busy
and she was having sex in the family car in the back of restaurants or in her government office. I don't know.
It's an interesting dynamic when you have these political women like Hillary. And, I don't know if it's this way with Hillary, but when you have these political women that are in charge of, they're the ones out there that the husbands become they take on the more traditionally female role in the home. I'm sure that's very common in these political women. I wonder if Christie Noem's husband
They're
is
not
that
real
way.
women. They're not real women. People like
Maybe-
Nikki Haley. They're machines, fake machines like Hillary Clinton.
But a lot of times the men take on the more motherly. Do you think that's common, or do you think that's just somebody like her? You don't think Christie Noem's husband is that way, or anything?
No.
Or Lauren Boebert.
No, and Sarah
Christie
Palin
has his own
wasn't that
problems.
way. Yeah, and
Todd Palin. I don't think he.
No.
So maybe it's just maybe
just
it's
her.
not very common.
It's political women like her and Hillary Clinton that don't cook for their
it's
children.
very risky to do an interview with young kids because your kids are always going to be honest. They're going to always tell the truth no matter what, especially when they're not as mature and as savvy to lie. Because what they should have done is I'm not encouraging lying, but it would have been easier if she just would have made up a meal. Oh, I make this.
If the kids weren't there, she would have.
That my mom taught me.
If the kids weren't there, she would have lied about it.
Yeah, but they were there, and they immediately start laughing and are like, "She never cooks." That's the problem when you have interviews with the kids because they will always be brutally honest.
That's right.
Instead of saying, "Oh, I make this delicious Indian chicken curry that my mom taught me that my family loves." You know, that's what a polished politician would do.
Well, when like on
but she's not quick.
On our listener cruises, Steve Kane and I, we have a listener cruise every year. And our next cruise is coming up on April 27th. It's 8 days on the Celebrity Bee Hour. We're going to Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And our daughter goes. And
yeah, my dad and my stepmom are going this year too.
Yeah, and the listeners on the cruises are very nice people, but you spend a week together. They start asking personal questions about me. And you, but me, a lot about me to our daughter. And I always told my daughter, don't tell anybody anything, and
just don't answer those questions.
Don't tell anybody anything because one question you answer leads to another, and she doesn't. She doesn't.
That's true. Not that you lie to people, but that's true because I remember I went to one appearance a long time ago at a racetrack, and there were a lot of people there, and I had a lot of people come up to me and ask me questions about
very
you.
Personal questions. Yeah,
I mean, it was weird.
Tell them nothing. Not that I'm hiding anything.
No, but I think you have to maintain some level of. But when you're you're not running for public office. When you're running for public office, this is going to happen. I just thought it was a really weird question for her to ask. I mean, who gives a damn what she likes to cook? I mean, does that really matter? But now, Harris Faulkner, she's like Oprah. Yeah. She's very impressed with herself and she asks these powder puffs. I mean, she can ask her what her favorite color is next. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Harris Faulkner was pretty surprised at that. Now,
ended up being interesting.
I was talking about something on the morning feed on the radio this morning, and I got some feedback from some people. That one person in particular said, "I've never disagreed with you before until you said this." I was talking about these moon landings that are going on, and I want to explain what I was saying. I woke up at 12:30 in the morning today, and I didn't realize it was 12:30 in the morning, okay?
That's about when I went to sleep.
What happened is I woke up today, and I got ready. When I get up in the morning, I got a whole routine. I get up, I get the coffee going, I jump in the shower, I get dressed. After I shower and get dressed and everything, get my coffee, and then I do my show prep. And my show prep in the mornings is very intensive. Not only do I read all the news, all the audio sound bites I play on the show. Like last night was a big night because we had both the Trump town hall on Fox and the CNN debate with
two things
with Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. So I had to go through both of those and pull off sound bites that I wanted to play on the air. And when I do that, I have to, there's editing of audio. It's time consuming, and I'm on a. I had a little extra today because we had the debate and the town hall. So I had to go through and get the sound bites from both. It was very time consuming. My alarm, I have my alarm set for 2:30 a.m. and I usually leave my house around 5 a.m. to go to the radio station. The radio station's about, depending on weather and stuff, between 35 and 45 minutes away from the house. So in the mornings with no traffic. On the way home, it's much longer because there's traffic on the way home. At 9, it's still rush hour. But anyway, I go through this whole routine, and I finally finished all my show prep. I finished the editing of all of the audio, and then I saw the clock on my computer. It was 2:34 in the morning. I couldn't believe it. So
that's usually when you get up.
What I do when I wake up, usually what I do is I look at the clock on the cable box.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was 12:30. I saw the 2 and the 3rd. I thought it was 2:30. I didn't realize it was 12:30 in the morning. And then by the time I realized it, it was too late. What am I going to do at 2:34? I can't go back to bed. So I thought to myself, what did I do? So I did a live stream on YouTube on our back porch.
The cat was awake with you.
So so anyway, when I was on the air this morning, I was a little tired because I only got like 2 hours sleep and everything else. So I may not have been communicating as well as I normally do. So so this thing about the moon landing, I want to clarify. I'm not retracting anything I said. Okay, but I want to say what I was trying to say a little better because I was a little loopy today because I was getting tired. There was a moon mission, an unmanned moon mission that's having difficulties right now. There was a fuel issue. They're saying it's impossible for the craft to have a soft landing on the moon. NASA just canceled 1 or 2 moon missions or postponed them for many years down the road from when they were going to be. And those were manned missions. And I was saying that if I were one of these private companies that was planning a moon mission, what I would do is very specific. Even if it was an unmanned mission with like a rover, I would have a moon mission that landed a few miles away from the landing site of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And I would send the rover, or if it was manned, I would send the people to the original landing site of Apollo 11, where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went. They got to and show people in high definition video like we now have, which we didn't have in 1969. The last moon landing, I believe, was 1973. So it's been 50 years since we've been to the moon, right? Half a century. A lot of people are skeptical of it. A lot of people don't believe that we went to the moon and returned home. A lot of people, more people than you realize, do not believe it. And if they sent a rover to the site and showed the boot prints of Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, showed what they left behind, or they had a manned mission that was going to go next year that's not going to go 2 or 3 years from now, go to that site and show people with the modern technology that we have, with live video transmissions and you know, if they're transmitting from the moon today, people here on Earth in their living room could prove they were there and reassure people that we actually did go to the moon and return safely home. I've never been one of these conspiracy people, but I do watch a lot of these conspiracy documentaries. A lot of people think that oh gosh, what's the name of the director, Kathy, that did Eyes Wide Shut in 2001: A Space Odyssey? Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, the conspiracy people think, that Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing and filmed it using the sets of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And there's a lot of talk about it and everything else. I do believe we went to the moon and returned home. I do believe that, although I am highly distrustful of anything the government says. And I think it would, and
I mean, they've shown that they do lie.
Yeah, and it's been so long. The idea of going to the moon and returning home, because the technology of 1969 was so primitive compared to what we have today. And when we have these missions that are having problems, like the one today, people are like, well, why are we having problems over 50 years after the first? If we could do it so easily then, why can't we do it now?
Right.
You know,
I think it'd be great if we went back to the moon and went to that spot.
If they went, and I don't think NASA would let them go to the site. NASA still has control over that, even though they're private companies. I think NASA would do everything they could do to stop a return to those landing sites. They would say that they're sacred, they're historical places.
But why don't they want people going there, you think?
Who knows? Who knows? But one person that I'm friends with texted me today and says, I can't believe you're saying that. You know, you're talking like a flat earther. No, I think we went. I think we went and all of that. But many millions of people don't believe it. And more people don't believe it every single year because it's been so long. The astronauts are almost all dead, or at least a huge chunk of them are dead. And they're not here to tell the story. And the last moon landing, you and I were 2-3 years old. We don't even remember it because we were 2 or 3 years old. I was 2, you were 3, and we're in our 50s now. So I think the
last moon landing was 50 years ago.
I believe it was 73. I could be wrong by a year or so, but I think it was 73. So these like this unmanned thing, what are they going to do there? It's just a rock. Go to the. I wouldn't want them to land on the same site because I wouldn't want them to disturb it. So you land a few miles away and then send the rover or the astronauts to it and let everybody know, yes, America did send men to the moon and they returned safely to the Earth again.
Yeah.
We're here at the site. Here it is.
It'd be very cool.
And it wouldn't end all the conspiracy. Going to the moon
And Brian,
is one of America's greatest accomplishments.
with the Hubble and all the technology, they could even look at that from here and have pictures of them on the moon. Like they could zoom in that close and show them standing on the moon from here, don't you think, with the Hubble?
If you remember, wasn't it the Hubble where they found this new planet or nebula or something, and it was a pepperoni a couple years ago?
It's true.
And the Hubble scientists faked it. Remember that?
I think, and people might think I'm nuts, I think there's a lot of people in the name of science that make up a lot of stuff for funding, for publicity, mainly for funding. And they say things and put things out there, like some of these Hubble photographs of galaxies far, far away. I'm very skeptical.
Well, we know the pepperoni story is true. And the thing about the moon,
I'm sorry.
There are photos and things that are more recent. There were some photos.
They have to produce something to get money from the government, right?
A couple years ago, there were some photos of the moon landing sites that was taken from a satellite.
Okay.
And the flags, I just remember seeing one of them, and I think it was the original moon landing site. The flag was white. It wasn't red, white, and blue with the stars on anymore. And they said that because there's no atmosphere, that the sun has turned the flag white.
That makes sense. There's no ozone or anything to protect it.
So I thought that was interesting. But if they sent one of these probes to the landing sites, I think that would be a good thing because it was a great accomplishment that we sent men to the moon and back. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.